everybody, welcome back to What Are You Watching? I am Ben, the host, and tonight I am joined by the one and only Rachel Slvestrini. How are you doing today?
Hey Ben, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for coming. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. There are some things that I've been wanting to tell people about that I'm very sure my very, very close friends and family are sick of hearing talk about. So I am glad to get to expand this to your audience.
Really in the perfect platform for it. So, if
Exactly.
people don't know, this is a show where I bring on a guest and they just tell me what they have been watching. So, without further ado, what have you been watching?
Um, so I know that we've talked about something in the pre-show that we are probably more than likely going to talk about, but I have been just annoying my friends and family with this rabbit hole that I have dove headfirst down after watching an incredible movie that I'm sure you all have seen already, which is RRR. Um, I love that movie. It is so phenomenal for so many different reasons, and I'm sure everybody has their own. Like I literally got my best friend to watch it at the same time with me on Netflix while we were FaceTiming at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a little tired. I'm like, it's in chapters. We can take it piece by piece. So like after the first chapter, I was like, okay, you want to go to bed? She's like, no, I'm invested now. Like we have to finish. So we did, and it's great. But I have after that movie came out and I watched it for the first time, I started watching a lot of Bollywood movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know that there was some buzz. I know uh Jesse was talking about it before, but when the trailer for Brahmastra came out, everybody was losing their minds because it looked like an Indian version of the Avengers,
Ooh.
and it kind of is. It's I know it's ridiculous to even say that, but it is so good. It's all about this. Oh God, I hope I do justice by talking about this. It's it is about the belief that there is this energy from the universe that comes down that could destroy us, and that people. It's called the Brahmas, and the Brahmensh are the people who are there to protect humanity from it and to calm it down so it doesn't destroy us. And they all have these things called astras, which are like everyday objects that happen to have magical abilities for the user. So it could be like a knife that could magically turn into a sword, or I think one of them has like a hairbrush. Like they're random objects, but it's so amazing, and the colors are phenomenal. And it all dates back to this kid who finds out that he starts getting these powers, and he is an orphan who takes care of orphans. And as I found in a lot of Bollywood movies, a lot of the thorough story, a lot of they keep a lot of tropes with like like Aladdin, like poor boy meets rich girl who has a heart of gold, and they fall in love, and he tries to prove himself worthy, and she sees him for the good person he is, and they fall in love, and it's great. Hi. And so but it's Bollywood still. So there's dance numbers and musical numbers, and it sounds so cheesy. Like so cheesy. But it's amazing, and it's so much fun, and the music is such an earworm that think I'm pretty sure that the soundtrack has made my Spotify end of year list. Like I haven't checked it yet, but I have
Oh,
listened
wow.
to it so many times since watching it the first time. I'm singing terribly in Hindi, which I'm sure I'm butchering that language so badly, but the songs are so beautiful, and like the acting is fantastic, and there's like in like Indian like A-list actors who are like pedigree actors that are back. Hold on, I got the cast list. So
Oh,
there's this guy, um, Amitabh Bachchan, I think his name is, but he's been in Indian movies, in Bollywood movies for like decades. Like this man, he's like the Sean Connery. Like he's just older and dapper, but without the misogyny. Um, and he plays like the leader of the Brahmansh, and it's epic. And the two lead actors, who play the love struck star-crossed lovers are actually married in real life.
Oh.
And it's so sweet to watch them act together, and like you see him like falling in love with her, and it's just like, oh, you really did that. That's so cute. But it's a fantastic. The fight scenes are epic. The cinematography is so beautiful. I think they shot part of it in Canada, and there is one part during one of the songs called On Deva, where it's the shot of the lead actor and the older actor like together, kind of like bonding father son, like while he's doing his training montage. And it shows them sitting on a pebble beach with like mountains and trees and stuff behind them, and it looks like an Eddie Bauer commercial. And every time I see it, I just kind of laugh to myself.
Oh.
But it's such an epic movie. It's so good. I highly recommend it.
Where can I see it? It sounds great.
It's on Hulu right now. And I will say this: watch it subbed, not dubbed. If you watch this dubbed, I will be very, very upset with you, because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful hearing it in the original Hindi. I think it's Hindi. It might be Tamil. Hi, sweetie. And so it's so beautiful to hear it in other languages, and like I mean, I don't know anybody who watches movies these days without subtitles. Do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, like we're all getting older. We all don't hear as well. And also like the audio in movies and TV shows like are not proportionate with like the explosions. So yeah, I'm used to watching everything on subtitles anyway. So watching a movie in another language subtitled is just so natural to me. And I mean, at this point, I pop it in the background while I'm on my laptop or cleaning my room or something. And I already know exactly what's going on. Like I practically have the script memorized. I saw it 6 or 7 times in the theater, like because I wanted to make sure that there's 2 more parts coming out. It's amazing. I love my subtitles. The audio can be weird. It can be weird with certain properties. It does. And I mean, to be fair, subtitles can be off a little bit.
Right.
Because somebody who is not a native English speaker, I'm sure they're fluent in it, but somebody who's not a native speaker is going to switch words or use words that aren't as applicable as others, and that's totally understandable. So my mind just instantly replaces them anyway. I read it the way that I read the intention and not the actual words. But the movies, it's so good. It is so fantastic. So it's on Hulu. And then RRR is on Netflix.
Right.
Vikram Veda, they just released a new one. It's about a cop who's chasing down this bad guy who may not be a bad guy, and it's about this weird like redemption story, but it's absolutely fantastic. The way that Bollywood shoots with their slow motion and their fights is very similar to like kung fu movies.
Oh wow.
Like it's very similar to like The Matrix and like The Raid. Everybody loves The Raid because it's shot and choreographed. It's like all 3 like the 2 actors and the camera are doing a dance together, and everything flows so beautifully and counteracts, and you get these shots that are stunning. So I don't think that's out yet. There's a 2019 version that's on, I think it's Amazon right now, but I would hold out and watch the 2022 version because it is epic.
Nice. Well, I mean, Bollywood is known for dance numbers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, 100%. Which is always so weird when like when you talk about it, you're like, yeah. So there's this scene where this guy is in a temple, and then they're getting ready to celebrate Diwali, which is the celebration, like it's the festival of like light and a few other things. And he comes out of the temple, and all of a sudden there is a dance number. Like it's just like it doesn't seem like it should work, and yet the music starts and everyone's dancing, and you're like into it. Like it's so great.
The one I always go back to is the movie Slumdog Millionaire. The whole movie is really tense and like edge of the scene. Then like the last 2 minutes they just break out in this insane dance number, which is great. It just didn't really match the rest of the movie.
It's kind of confusing because it's disjointed, because it, like you said, the whole rest of the movie had been one rhythm. It had the same flavor going through it. It was, this emotional, kind of funny, very sweet, like love story and drama. And then you get to the end and everything's good. And then all of a sudden they're doing a dance number in a train station. Like, you're kind of like, wait, when did this just turn Disney? Like, I don't understand this.
And it's a great dance number, but it just doesn't really fit the rest of the movie.
It's weird, but like I love the fact that they still included that, and they didn't just go completely American in the telling of this very Indian story. Like, it is very, like, I actually went back and watched Slumdog Millionaire because I hadn't done it in a really long time. But it is very, like, it does address a lot of things that like happen in India and like in those portions of the cities and stuff like that. And it's so weird to go back and watch that now with like all the research that I've done. And I do not want anybody to think that I am an expert at knowing any of this. I'm just a massive fan that I've just fallen in love with this big thing, and I'm trying to get to understand it. So just, I'm not judging or meaning this in any negative way, but it's so classically Indian, and I absolutely love the dance number at the end.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have to go watch it again. I don't think I've seen it since it's been out in theaters, so.
That's been a while.
When is that? 12 years ago? It didn't come out in 2010?
You know that I am not good with movie release dates. Let's that is not improved.
Sorry.
Let's throw down his end. I do know it's Danny Boyle though. That I do know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie's just so, Brahmastra is so good. And I remember after the first time I saw it, I just kind of sat there like in the theater with my thoughts for a good like 10 minutes, and I was like, like, first reaction was, what the hell did I just see? And then the second reaction was, wait, what did I just see? Oh, thanks, Brennan. He's such a sweetheart.
Yeah, he's a mess.
But like, it's like, I grew up watching musicals. Obviously, I love musicals. I toured with them. I'm deeply involved in the theatrical side of it. I love it so much. I love movies that are musicals. That being said, it's still so different from, like, Bollywood movies are still so different from like Grease, you know? Like, there's so many similarities, but they are so vastly different. It's like having two cousins that look nothing alike, but have the same laugh, you know?
Really, speaking of musicals, have you seen Spirited on Apple TV Plus yet?
No, I went to watch it today, and then I got sidetracked and watched something, oh my gosh, that I am still trying to wrap my mind around. It's called The Fight Before Christmas.
Oh,
yeah. Which I thought it was going to be some funny little, like, almost like Violent Night kind of like, you know, just tongue-in-cheek, like battle royale, but with elves and Santa. No, it is a documentary about this guy in Idaho who started, like, the whole movie, it's a documentary, and the documentary starts off with him like telling the camera that like people warned him not to do this film because people are going to think he's crazy. And he goes, I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I love Christmas. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I love Christmas too. Tell me about these assholes that ruin Christmas for you. Let's do this. Let's get on the same train together. No, dude is fucking psycho. Straight up. Hosts this like, he hosts this like Christmas light show at his house.
Okay.
We're talking like thousands of lights just everywhere. He has a cotton candy machine that he gives out free candy, cotton candy to, and like they give out hot chocolate, and they collect money from everybody who comes in for like children's cancer, for like St. Jude's or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Right. And you're thinking, wow, this guy's really good. He's got a really good heart. He just really loves Christmas and really wants to help. And then he purposefully moves to a new house that's bigger because they want to expand this whole thing. But he moves to a place that he knowingly knows is has an HOA, a homeowners association, which means there are things you cannot do to your house, to your yard, your driveway, whatever. Like everything has to. It's very much like a legalized Pleasantville.
Right.
But he's a lawyer, so he combs through the CCRs and literally reads it and goes, "Cool. There's nothing in here that I am not abiding by." He's like, "There's no bylaws that I am obstructing. So I'm going to do this." So before he buys the house, he writes the HOA and is like, "So I just want to let you know, like, just like, hey, I want to buy this house. I do this Christmas thing. If you'd like to get on board, that'd be great." Not asking, telling.
Oy, okay.
So the HOA is like, they like write him a letter in response, and it's basically like, not everybody. They're basically like telling him no, they don't want him to do it, but very nicely and very like Midwest. But then at the bottom, they cite the reason that because not everybody in the community is Christian, they don't feel that it's appropriate. Basically.
Okay.
So he takes that and fucking loses his mind. He starts talking about how he's being oppressed because of his religion, and goes on and just starts like very subtly, very toxically baiting people. Like he is a narcissist to the pure T definition of narcissism, to the point where like things escalate to where there are armed guards on the street, protecting this guy's house. His wife doesn't feel comfortable, so she takes their kid and goes to her parents' house in Virginia. And like this, it's literally, and he like feels like he's on a personal mission to like do this event. Like it is, he starts going fucking nuts, and he tries to sue the HOA.
Oh my God.
And he takes them to court, and then he takes them to like, oh God, what's it above local? But basically he takes it to the Supreme Court. Yeah, because the first time they had a hearing, the jury sides with him and says that HOA owes him like $75,000 for like harassment or something like that.
Okay.
And so he thinks the rest of the community is like really upset. He's super thrilled because he thinks that he's got a full pass to do whatever the fuck he wants now. And then a judge overturns it. He's livid. He's still in courts, like objecting that, and like he's nuts. Oh my God. And then at the very end, like his parents, like there's a clip of his parents talking about how he wants to be a senator and thought that Idaho would be a good place to live because they're very conservative. And I'm like, dude, this guy is calculated. He is a sociopath. He needs to you can see just how miserable his wife is.
This doesn't even sound real. This sounds made up, and I don't know what. Wow.
It's insane. It's a real case. It's really going on. And this has all happened between like 2014 and like 2020. They're still in litigation. Still currently. But like at one point he's like talking about how it's all worth it. How like the safety of his family doesn't matter because he's on this like mission. And then his parents come out and start talking about how like one of the neighbors interviewed was like, I'm probably sure he was just this was all very like he would record their conversations without letting people know, like phone calls, conversations. He would like take pictures of people obsessively like breaking HOA rules. Like an 85-year-old woman has 3 dogs and you're only allowed 2. And you can hear the audio of him like while he's videotaping her walking these 3 dogs being like, I want the white one. Like, which one should we take from her? I want the white one. Like, he's fucking crazy, dude.
Okay, I have one question. Where can I watch this? This sounds
That
insane that I must watch it.
it's on Apple Plus. It's Apple TV Plus.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it
Okay.
was literally like I went to go watch Spirited, and it was right there next to it, and like the cover, like I said, makes it look like a B kind of holiday horror movie slugfest, like ridiculousness. And I was like, all right, that sounds awesome. So I just clicked on it and played, and I was like, why am I like? I'll put a movie on, and I'll be on my laptop, whatever, still working. I stopped what I was doing to watch this with my jaw in my lap. I was like, what is happening? Like, how is
Wow.
this real? And you just feel so bad for his wife because she's the one who wanted to move. Like,
Okay.
immediate. So they did the event at their old house, and like 5,000 people visited. And that was great, and they were so excited. And like 2 days after Christmas, the wife was like, let's find a bigger house, let's go bigger. And so they're like, cool. And so she's looking, like, they find the house, it's in a really great neighborhood, and she was so excited to move to
Oh.
this beautiful neighborhood. And like, she wanted to make cookies for the neighbors, and
Oh.
you hear him say, no babe, when you move into a new neighborhood, they bring you cookies. And she's like, no, I'm going to make the new neighbors cookies. Like, it tells about how she grew up like on the outskirts of town and like never had that like community style neighborhood, and how she's so looking forward to it, and like raising their
Oh.
kids with these other, like, it is so sweet and so glorious. And then he turns into such a dillweed, and like nobody will talk to her. Like, she's so heartbroken. And
Oh.
like, they go through this whole thing of like, if he uh so like the judge had just overturned it, and they're having this talk, the husband and the wife are having this talk about how if they lose this new lawsuit to challenge the previous outcome, if
Right.
they lose, they have to pay the HOA's legal fees for both the initial hearing and for this new one that's coming out, and that would bankrupt them. And she is just devastated, and she knows, and he's like such a sociopath. So he's sitting here like this, and she's sitting here in front of him, and she starts crying multiple times. He has to stop to like deal with her, and then he finally like takes her and like holds her next to him, but his hand is like on her throat, leans her in, kisses her forehead, and then like glances at the camera to make sure they're still recording, and then looks back down at her. It is the scariest thing. Like, fuck
Yeah.
Smile or Barbarian or Malignant. That shit is terrifying.
They can't still be together to this day. They're not, are they?
I'm sorry, what?
They can't still be together, are they?
They still are, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking. I'm like, babe, you are so beautiful and you have such a good heart. You could do so much better. And he's just like fucking psychotic. Anyway, that was, yeah. So I went to go watch Spirited, and that's what I watched instead. So I don't know
Well,
if I
I'm
won
not
or
happy on
lost.
topic. I knew that you would like Spirited. I watched it and it instantly became a holiday rotation movie for me. It's wonderful.
Nice. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. I mean, anything with Will Ferrell that deals with the holidays, and also anything with Ryan Reynolds, I
Yeah.
will instantly, more than likely, like, you just be like, Ryan Reynolds is in it. I'm like, that's great. I will be a fan of this movie. I promise you.
They have such great back and forth and chemistry. It's incredible. And yeah, you'll like it. And the music is incredible, in my
I'm
opinion.
so excited to watch it. I mean, I think that it's going to be one of those like right before Christmas movies for me, because
Right.
I tend to ease myself into the Christmas. Like, don't get me wrong, in like a week, I will be straight up mainlining Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies, because that
Okay.
is my favorite flavor of trash. Um,
They're pretty
I,
good trash, I have to say that. It's pretty good trash.
I just, every year they have something. I say some. I never remember to save it. but it's like this flow chart of storytelling, and it's like uh the it's like big city, small city, moved out, moved home, like a lawyer, then they have like it's like the every like you follow it through and it like, oh, this is the movie you wanted to watch. Like it's so hilarious because like you
And
can
it,
find like there's like 3 movies for every version.
and they're making the same movie. Yeah,
Oh
it's the same actors and the same locations. It's the same movie, right?
yeah, it's like they take a wheel with like actresses' faces on it and they spin it and they're like, all right, I guess it's Jodie Sweetin. And then they go to the next wheel and it's leading males and they spin that and they're like, I guess it's Joey Lawrence. And then they go to like the setting and they're like, spin in the big city. And then they go to the next one and they're like, well, what kind of problem are they going to have? He owns a competitor company. Like it's so formulaic and I don't give a shit and I love them so much.
Well, did you see, I know it's not Lifetime or Hallmark, but did you see the new Lindsay Lohan one on, and what is it, Netflix?
It is on Netflix. I am bracing myself. I don't tend to add new holiday movies
Okay,
immediately in the month because now is when I start watching. Like I wait after Thanksgiving until the
right.
1st of December to really start watching them most years. So I haven't watched it yet, but
I hear things. I haven't seen it, but I heard things about it.
I've heard things about it too. But it just I don't know if it makes me want to watch it more or less. Like I'm still kind of ambivalent about it, but I'll probably end up watching it just because there's not many Christmas movies, theatrical or streaming,
Right.
that I have not seen.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, and they always come out at this time of year too.
Yeah,
And
and they should be allowed to be available year round. I think actually, like, I think that if you have like the Hallmark or the Lifetime channel like streaming packages, like you can access them throughout the
okay,
year,
not
but come on. I
well,
want to buy
Christmas
another
in
streaming
July, that's
service.
something, right?
Right? Yeah, I think Hallmark does Christmas in July, which is great. I love the fact that other things are getting behind them.
Penny.
Peggy always gives me the best advice.
No.
Peggy never steers me wrong. like the other day I texted out about Cocaine Bear is coming out
Oh,
and
that
everyone's
looks
super
so
excited.
good. That
I am
looks so good.
It looks fucking nuts, but it's like the perfect movie that we all need right now. It's kind of like when Lamageddon hit and everybody watched. Have you seen Lamageddon, Ben?
No, I can't
Oh
say I
my
have.
god, it's so good. Make a night of it. Watch Lamageddon and Velocipaster.
I've seen that one. I've seen
It's
that one. That one
it's
is batshit crazy.
it's in the same vein. They're so
Okay.
nuts and so fucking like they're Lamageddon is one of those where you're watching it and you're like, this is the worst. What the fuck am I watching? Like this, why am I wasting my time on this? This is obviously like a really bad student movie. And then like the longer you get into it, it like takes a really long time to like get better. But then once it does, it just like shoots up and you're like, this is the best movie ever. And it's so fucking dumb. But it's
We're
so
talking
much fun.
talking about all these movies. You have to have seen that trailer for the mean one, right?
The Twitter of what?
That trailer for the mean one. The Grinch horror movie that they're
Oh,
coming out with.
I actually haven't. I've seen the trailer, but I haven't seen the movie because I'm still like it has to be Christmas time for me to
Right.
watch it. Now
But
that it
I
is, I
haven't seen the
can.
movie either, but it looks insane.
It's fucking nuts. I think it's isn't it by the same guys who made like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie?
I don't know, but that looks good too. That
It
look,
People are so clever and so fun. It's really like it boggles my mind just how much talent is out there in the world, just like randomly. Like bagging groceries at the Piggly Wiggly in like Tallahassee. You know, it's just like that could be the next Ari Aster. You know, like who knows?
Now I want a movie about like killer gummy bears humping
Killer.
here,
Well, I mean, to be
humping
fair,
everywhere.
they kind of touched on that in Goosebumps too,
Okay,
which
all right.
I love those movies. I mean, I love the first one. I don't even know if it's a good story. It's just so nostalgic for me
Right.
because I grew up reading like every Goosebump book I could get my hand on. I have the DVD of the show because it used to be a TV show.
Yeah, I remember.
Like I a lot of people don't like. It's one of those things that like when you mention it, people like it's like the slowest dimming on bulb ever, and they're like, "Oh my god, I remember that!" Like it's something that's been long forgotten to the annals of history. But also
That
just
and animals. Remember animals?
oh, Animorphs, yeah, dude. I used to read. I used to babysit this kid, and he would pass out, but I would always read him like a chapter before he would go to bed of whatever Animorph he was reading,
Right.
and then I would like sit up and like read the whole book before his parents got home. And I remember one time coming and being like, got any new Animorphs? Like, it's just fun. I just yeah, it's very much like that. What else have I seen recently? Oh, I just restarted Mythic Quest on Apple TV.
I hear that good. I haven't seen it yet.
It is epic. It's all about this this group that has put out a game called Mythic Quest, and like the first episode is the day that the sequel to it launches, and it's called
Okay.
Raven's Banquet. And then like you just see all these like highly creative but highly dysfunctional people working together, manically trying to like make this game better and like fix things that get broken and dealing with interpersonal relationships. It is F. Murray Abraham is in it. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, like what? And there's just the cast is epic. They have this one episode that takes place so season one had been done, and then I think we were waiting for season two to get released, but the pandemic hit.
Right.
And like I think in 2000, I think it was 19 or no, it had to be like 2020. They released one episode, and it was about people not dealing well with working at home and the whole like isolation issues, and like it gets really dark and really true and very raw, and it is so beautifully handled, and the acting and the writing is so wonderful that like literally on my sad days when I'm like I just need to cry to get over this feeling, like I will put that episode on and instantly just be like ugly sobbing in the fetal position because it's so well done. And like I'm not a gamer. I love the gaming culture. I love watching like I used to sit and watch my friends my best friend's roommate's friend play Metal Gear for like
Oh wow.
hours. I mean, we're talking like 15 years ago. But like
Right.
I just remember like he got left at the house one day, and I was at the house too, and we were just hanging out, and he was playing Metal Gear, and the next thing we know, I'm ordering pizza, and 4 hours had gone by, and then people were coming home, and we're still just hanging out, and somebody had ordered like somebody went and got Chipotle, and we were still sitting there watching. I was watching him play Metal Gear, and it was one of the funnest times I'd had in a really long time, and it's just watching the storytelling. Like I have hand-eye coordination in real life, but my thumb-eye coordination is
Yeah.
next to nothing. So I love watching it. And so watching this show with these very funny people dealing with these problems and issues with gaming, it makes me laugh so hard. It is so good.
It kind of sounds like Silicon Valley only with video games instead of tech things.
Yeah, it's very close. And it's got Rob I can never pronounce his last name right. He's the one who bought the soccer team or the football team with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Over in the UK. He was in, Always Sunny for, I don't know, like 30 years. But like him and Charlie Day created and wrote the show together. So like that's the style of humor that it is, and it's really like it's so good. Highly recommend.
I didn't know Charlie Day was involved. That's pretty cool.
I don't think he was in any episodes, but like yeah, he's very involved.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's a voice in the new Super Mario movie.
Yes, he is. Isn't he is he Mushroom?
He's Luigi, I believe.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's right. He is, yeah. Sorry, it just makes me every time somebody brings up that movie, it makes me so excited and so rage-filled at the same time because as an Italian, how dare you? How dare you not give Mario an Italian accent that is borderline racist? Like, I'm sorry, but Chris Pratt? No, Chris Pratt is Emmett. Chris Pratt is great. I loved him in the Lego movie. He's a great Emmett. He is not Mario. Like, what?
Yeah. They dropped the ball, huh? I think Bowser sounds good, and from what we heard, Charlie Day did sound like Luigi, but yeah, they could have not been it with Mario.
It makes me so angry. I mean, yeah, Jack Black is perfectly cast for Bowser. I'm really excited just to hear him go off on Mario. I think it's going to be hilarious. I think the movie visually, from what we've seen, is absolutely stunning. But it just makes me really, really, really livid that Mario doesn't even like Chris Pratt isn't even doing a voice. He's just doing his voice. Like
he might
it's Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
It's excited 5-year-old Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad.
But you're right, it looks perfect. Like the aesthetics of it looks bang on.
Just even in the trailer, watching Bowser melt the ice castle, like just watching the fire and the like, it's so beautiful. It's so stunning, and yet it all gets destroyed when Mario opens his mouth and you hear a 5-year-old Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. I love you, but stick to Star-Lord.
Yeah. That trailer dropped today. It looks great too from Guardians 3.
I have not watched it yet because I want to see it on a bigger screen.
Right.
We had this whole conversation about what movies are appropriate to see on what size screens. But I do want to watch for the first time, especially for Marvel movies. I do love having my first time seeing the new trailers on a big screen before a movie as an actual trailer. Like I actually still haven't seen Wakanda Forever. Don't judge me.
Me neither.
But
me neither. I haven't seen it either.
Thank God. I was so afraid to tell people. I'm gonna be like, why? What have you been doing? I need to be in a very emotionally safe place in order to see the movie. Okay, guys? Like, I just need to be okay. I need for the theater to be like 90% empty, and I need to go on a day where I know who the staff is, so they will let me bring in my giant blanket and just wrap myself up and just cry the entire time. And that hasn't happened yet. But but I did see something on the big screen recently that I don't know a lot of people have. I know I will not be ruining The Glass Onion.
Yeah. We were talking about this before. You really enjoyed it, right?
I loved it. I mean, anything that Rian Johnson does now, I have complete faith in.
Okay.
I think that he is such an incredibly clever man. And the movie, is so good in such a way that you do not expect. Um, but it really like especially with this cast, it really goes to show you like it, just how talented people can be from different aspects of life.
Right.
Because Janelle Monáe is a fucking goddess, and she kills this role.
Wow.
She's so good. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen her in anything where I've been like, she's okay. Like, Janelle Monáe is such a performer that to call her a singer or a songwriter or an actress, I feel does her a massive disservice. Like, this girl is an artist.
Right.
She can do anything. She's so talented. And then Dave Bautista. I mean, we all know and love Dave Bautista. Like,
Yeah.
he's so good. Like, we love him as Drax in the Guardians movies. He was phenomenal in Blade Runner 2049. He has great comedic timing. I mean, I don't hold Stuber against him, but he was great in it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so good in this movie. It's so funny. He plays this like just this dumb white dude that's just jacked up on like all sorts of hormones and roids, and he's just this like he is what I think a lot of people would think he is like
Okay.
in real
Okay.
life, if not knowing who he is. Like if you just saw a picture of this big muscled tattooed guy with like no neck and like a bald head, you'd be like, probably a douchebag that does creatine for fun, like.
Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
character kind of that he plays in the
Right.
movie,
Oh,
and
nice.
but it's so wonderful to see like people like Janelle and Dave come together and act with like, say what you will about him as a person. I know people hate the fact that he's such a douchebag in real life. Edward Norton is a phenomenal actor. He's so good in this. Kate Hudson is, I mean, she's Penny Lane. I love her so much. She's so like, there's not a weak link in this, and there is one character that you will see that you will love beyond all, like I did anyways, loved beyond all belief. I think he spent a total of like 45 seconds in the entire movie, and there's some of my favorite 45 seconds. He's so good. But
I
the movie,
can't wait to see this movie. I'm really excited. You're just getting me even more excited
yeah,
to see it.
it's so good in so many ways, and yet it's singular too. So like you don't have to watch Knives Out. Like something from Knives Out doesn't carry over. You can just watch that. I was telling you earlier, it was like the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Right.
There could be a thorough story that Ryan Johnson is weaving, maybe, I guess. But you don't need, like, there's nothing from, Knives Out that is going to carry over. You can watch these separated, but yet it still has the same feel. It still has the same, like, it's a very familiar world that you're in. Because obviously the pacing and the music is epic, and Benoit Blanc is epic as he deserves to be. I am a little disappointed that his accent didn't change, because I kind of wanted that to happen in
Oh.
all of the movies. With
For
like
him to
each,
have like a different one in each movie,
yeah,
that
like
would have been funny.
like each movie would be in a different country, and with each country there would be a different accent. So
That would have been funny.
right,
I
but
like that.
that's it would have been funny, but that's not what
Uh,
the movie is. Obviously, like
right.
it's not a tongue in cheek. It's not a scary movie. It's phenomenal though. Ryan Johnson is phenomenal. He knows how to
Yeah.
put a movie together.
I can't wait to see it. And I like most of Ryan Johnson's movies. I'm not going to bring up the elephant in the room because we don't need to, but 95% of his movies I love, so I can't wait to see this one.
Yeah, I'm real sad that that Netflix was dumb and pulled it out a week after it got released. Um, I know they paid something like $300 million for the sequel rights,
Something
um,
like that. It
which
was
they easily
insane.
could have made with a second and maybe third week in the movies in theaters, especially now during the holidays. Like that movie would have killed. I understand that Avatar, the biggest movie in the world, is coming out.
Man.
I honestly don't care about
Yeah.
Avatar. If you're excited about it, I'm
Me
excited for
neither.
you. Yeah,
Me neither.
no,
And yeah.
like literally, I have like it's like almost a Pavlovian response when I hear the trailer come on at the movie theaters. I instantly am just like, ugh, and grab my phone and just like scroll through Twitter while the trailer's going because I'm not invested. I'm not engaged. I don't care about the world. There was nothing endearing to the first one other than, I mean, the music was glorious and yes, the visuals were stunning, but I would much rather watch Fern Gully
Yep. Yep.
3 or 4 times and not just because Tim Curry is in it and Robin Williams.
Who did he play in that?
Tim Curry plays the sludge monster. Peggy, if you're watching, contribute. I can't remember. I can't remember what the name is. But he's like the pollution.
Oh,
He's like
okay.
this
Yeah,
sticky
yeah,
black
yeah,
guy. That's
yeah.
Tim Curry.
Oh wow, I
I
haven't seen that in years.
It's epic. You get to hear Robin Williams rap because he's batty. Um, yeah, dude, I would much rather watch that than sit through Avatar again.
Yeah.
But if
I
you're
mean,
excited watching this, I'm excited for you that you get something in your life that makes you happier.
I feel the same way. I like the first one, okay, but I respect him as a filmmaker, but I'm not the biggest fan of Cameron as a human, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Like I like his stuff. Like Terminator is not my be all end all. Like it's good. I watch it,
Right.
but it's not like I was raised in a Stallone household versus Schwarzenegger, but whatever. Like I still appreciate our ex governor in California. Um, he's amazing. I mean, he does own donkeys and posts videos about them, and that makes me Lulu. I love that. But
I forgot about this, yeah, Lulu.
Lulu, I just love it when he calls her. He's usually sitting outside in the backyard with a cigar, just Lulu. It's great.
Yeah, I love him. I mean, wow.
Yeah. But
Uh,
let's see, what else have I watched recently? What have you watched recently?
I did watch for the first time Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
For the first time? That's
Yeah,
exciting. What did you think?
I, I loved it. I don't know how I missed it for so long, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean
I loved
it is
it.
it is the quintessential Thanksgiving movie. Like I feel like you either grew like it's very much in the same vein of A Christmas Story,
Yep.
where you either grew up with it knowing every line by heart by the time you could speak, or it just didn't exist in your house. Um, yeah, we didn't grow up with those, but I remember discovering Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because I saw John Candy on the cover at the video
Okay.
store, and I was like,
Nice.
"That's the guy from Home Alone," because I was into trivia even back then as a child. Um, but I was like, "Oh, that's the guy from Home Alone," and I'm like, "Oh," and like I can't remember what I would have referenced Steve Martin for at the time, but I was like, "Oh, that's that guy," and I was like,
Right.
Can we get this?" And I just remember my parents being like, "This is dumb," and I remember laughing my ass off. I mean, it gives me anxiety watching it now, like woof. But
Yeah,
I mean,
well, different time. It was made in a different time.
well, yes, but it's also just the fact that like John Candy is such a bumbling, lovable ball of incompetence that
Yeah.
like it just it makes me feel bad for how anxious and angry he makes me internally, like the character. And it just like it compounds upon itself. I'm like, I can't watch this movie anymore, even though I love it and it's such a good movie. Like I can't, like my heart can't take it.
Well, you said it, quintessential Thanksgiving movie, but oh, you want better. It might be the only Thanksgiving movie. If you don't count the like turkey smashers. I don't know any other Thanksgiving movies, do you?
There's a few. Oh God, I literally just looked this up and now my brain is blank, of course. I think what was the Jodie Foster directed one? It's not Home for the Holidays. Sorry, I'm looking this up real quick. Uh, I mean, there's obviously The Oath. The Oath is an absolute Thanksgiving movie because it happens at Thanksgiving. No one remembers this movie, and I love it. It makes me laugh so hard, just because of how dark it is.
Who's in it? I never heard of it.
It came out in 2018, and it has oh God, what is her name? Tiffany Haddish plays the wife. Ike Barinholtz plays the husband. He's one of those like generic white guy like comedians. Billy Magnuson is in it. He plays one of the bad guys. John Cho is in it.
I vaguely remember seeing the trailer or something to this.
Yeah, Max Greenfield's in it, and it's all about like the whole country has to take this like oath of patriotism by Thanksgiving or something like that, and like then their house gets held up. Like it's a home invasion happens. It is wild and so funny. Mainly because the whole like any good family comedy, the whole family is just full of terrible people.
Well, you had me at Max Greenfield. I think he's one of the funniest people around that he gets enough work.
I mean, he plays Schmidt, and there are a few joys in life greater than seeing Fat Schmidt. Like
Yeah.
I'm sad that it didn't happen at the same time, so we could have gotten Fat Schmidt and Fat Monica from Friends like dancing together. I think it would have been like all of my fat dreams adorable, just coming true. It's so great. What else is Thanksgiving? Oh, Pilgrim is a terrible like B horror movie, which happens at Thanksgiving. That one's really funny. Let's see, I'm going through a list. Nothing's really like Thanksgiving, but like I think there's a few like Netflix or streaming type movies that have been made over the years that are about Thanksgiving. Somebody posted about Thanksgiving. It's like a Lamageddon version of
Yeah, I
Pilgrim.
heard about
It's like
this. It's about not killing turkey. Yeah, I heard
yeah,
about
just a
this.
second. Killer
I heard about this earlier today, in fact.
Yeah. Oh, Home for the Holidays was Thanksgiving. Okay, great. I did win that. But yeah, there's a few, but like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is very much a Thanksgiving. Like I said, I think there's a Charlie Brown special
Right.
probably for Thanksgiving because Charlie Brown.
Why not? Yeah, why
He
not?
likes to teach us about the holidays and what's good in life. We need that every now and then.
Have you ever heard the theory that Casper is a ghost of Charlie Brown?
No.
Yeah, I forget who I heard it, but somehow I heard the theory that Charlie Brown dies and he ends up being Casper, the friendly ghost.
That's so sweet, but I feel like he would be more like Schroeder because like Charlie Brown's really depressed and like really sad, and like Casper was really happy and really outgoing, and that's not Charlie. It just makes me. I don't want to think of Charlie Brown being dead. What happened to Snoopy?
I'm just telling you, I heard this theory. I don't know how accurate it is, but I don't know. It kind of makes sense.
I mean, it's a theory. I'll go with it. I mean, my favorite theory is that, and I've actually read a 10-page dissertation on this, is how Fight Club is actually Calvin and Hobbes as adults.
Oh, wow.
Like Calvin grows up and ends up being Jack because he follows in his father's footsteps, and he represses Hobbes for so long that when he finally snaps, he starts seeing Tyler instead of Hobbs. But then at the very last confrontation scene, when I think they're in the parking garage and fighting over like the van of glycerin, Tyler Durden is wearing a tiger skin coat. And that's like how he's supposed to come back. And like Sally is actually Marla Singer, and like just and Mo becomes oh god, Robert Paulson, and like just it's this whole theory, and it's so wild, but it makes so much sense.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that theory. I like that a bit. Well, we should wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Remember, go see Brahmastra on Hulu, RRR on Netflix. There's also PS-1 on Hulu, which I highly recommend, which we didn't really talk about. And please, I'm begging you, make a night of it to see Glass Onion when it comes out, because it is so good.
I'm going to. So, Rachel, tell everyone where they can find you.
Well, while Twitter is still around, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and I believe Hive has the same call sign. It's RMS Silvestrini, and you can find me there. Let me see if I can change my name. But yeah, it's find me on Twitter, Instagram, Hive. My Facebook is generally used for family and friends, so unless we really know each other, don't go on there. Nobody needs to see me when I was like 13. That's just ridiculous. But yeah.
And you guys can find me right here on this channel. I'm on here pretty much every day of the week, having fun and meeting a lot of cool people. We'll see you next week. Thanks for coming, and have a good one.